I want to talk today a little bit about verbal versus non-verbal culture and trying to understand how the non-verbal affects our lives as much as the verbal. There's so many times I've spoken to people and they've said, but nobody ever said those words to me. Nobody ever said those words that hurt me. Nobody ever said those words that made me sad. But yet somehow I knew I wasn't loved, or I was rejected, or I was hurt. And the importance of understanding that we as human beings always pick up the non-verbal as well as the verbal messages. And there's nothing like someone new coming into your life when you have to explain the non-verbal rules that tell you what the verbal and non-verbal culture is. So for example, you bring a friend home for the first time and you have to explain to them whether they take their shoes off or not, whether they hang up their jacket, where do they hang up their jacket, where do they leave their bag. And these are all non-verbal rules of how to navigate your household. Well, your emotional landscape is the same. The emotional landscape of your childhood home, the emotional landscape of wherever it is that you've come from and what you're trying to navigate is exactly the same. So really encourage you to think about what are the non-verbal messages that you have been given, that you take for granted, about how you should operate or shouldn't, expectations, pressures, realizations, whether you're good, bad, success, failure, all these really potent words that are thrown into our psyches when we're really young. What is the non-verbal around you? How do we make it verbal?